Hey everyone, and welcome back to Men Can Be Anorexic. My name is Connor, and for this week's video, I'd like to talk about a question that's been on my mind for a while. Can I truly be anti-fatphobia while still holding on to a fear of weight gain? But as always, before I say more, a trigger warning for anyone going through or recovering from anorexia, just because I might say some stuff that could be triggering or upsetting, and the last thing I want to do is put anyone in a bad place. Everyone is incongruent to some extent. Each of us is home to a range of contradictions. There are liberals who love guns and conservatives who support reproductive freedom. There are environmentalists who love cheeseburgers and free market capitalists who donate to charity. I think incongruence is a wonderful thing. We'd be far less interesting creatures if everything we said and did was determined by some overarching personal belief system. Plus, the absence of internal conflict among like-minded groups, such as rock musicians, would lead to complete and utter stagnation. Can you imagine if post-grunge bands like Bush and Creed were still dominating the charts? Differences among members of a common group are partially to thank for our creative and intellectual evolution. Though I'm grateful for incongruence, I've recently been wrestling with one of my own internal contradictions. I strive to be anti-fatphobia, yet I used to, and to some extent still do, suffer from a fear of weight gain. Let's start with the anti-fatphobia part. To be fatphobic is to fear or hate fat people, to regard them as ugly, lazy, unhealthy, inconvenient, and so on. I say that I strive to be anti-fatphobia because I acknowledge the fatphobic beliefs and stereotypes that I've internalized, and I make an active effort to destroy them. In the same way that being anti-racist means acknowledging one's implicit biases against people of color, being anti-fatphobia means acknowledging one's implicit biases against fat people. This is a crucial point. Being anti-fatphobia does not mean you're completely impervious to fatphobic thoughts all the time. Because we're all taught to perceive fatness in a negative light, through advertisements and infomercials, through interactions with doctors and nurses, through conversations with friends and family, it's inevitable that you'll occasionally think in fatphobic ways. This alone does not make you incapable of being anti-fatphobia, but you do have a responsibility to 1. Acknowledge the learned hatred that fueled that thought, and 2. Make an active effort to unlearn that hatred. One way you can go about doing that is checking out the weight and size section of the online magazine known as The Body Is Not an Apology, which I'll link down in the description box. Okay, time for the second part. As evidenced by the very existence of this channel and the blog, I used to suffer from anorexia. In other words, I used to suffer from a fear of gaining weight. In other words, I used to be very, very afraid of getting fat. At the time of this recording, I'm about 2.5 years into recovery. I'm in a drastically better place than I was when I was sick, but I'd be lying if I said my recovery has completely erased my fear of weight gain. Although it's far less consuming than it used to be, it still exists. Right now, as I record this, I don't like the idea of getting fat, and that makes me feel like a hypocrite. How can I claim to be unlearning fatphobia when I'm still holding on to this fear of weight gain? How can I claim to be anti-fatphobia when I've spent the past several years of my life being afraid of getting fat? I think the most honest explanation is my need for the approval of others. It's recently become clear to me that I am desperate for approval. I really, really, really want people to like me. I don't know why. I think it might be related to my need for control in the sense that I have this need to control how other people perceive me, but it could be something else entirely. At the moment, it doesn't really matter. Here's what I'm trying to say. Although I'm trying to contribute to the undoing of fatphobia, I'm still acutely aware of the fact that I exist in a culture that hates fat people, a culture that does not approve of fat people. No matter how hard I try to destroy the fatphobic beliefs and stereotypes floating around in my brain, I can't free myself from the awareness that getting fat would dramatically decrease my chances of earning the approval of others. Evidently, some personal growth is in order. I need to overcome this extreme need for external validation. Of course, no one can completely eliminate the need for the approval of others, as to do so would be to overcome millennia of human evolution, but I'm still confident that I can get to a place where I'm far less malleable to the opinions and perspectives of others. And it's growth that absolutely needs to happen. Because although this lingering fear of weight gain can't entirely keep me from combating fatphobia, I think it does function as an asterisk, as an indicator of incongruence. Hi, my name is Connor. I'm anti-fatphobia. But for the time being, I'm still afraid of gaining weight. And I think I will leave it on that thought for today. As always, thank you so much for watching. Down in the description box, you'll find the phone number for the Anorexia, Nervosa, and associated disorders hotline, which you or anyone you know can call if you're looking for immediate help. Thank you so much, and keep your eye out for the next video.